welcome back to BS Rambles. Today I want to do a Valla guide focusing on my favorite build path with Valla, and it's the one that I go to when I feel like I really need to carry a game. If I'm in a promotion game or a demotion game, or if I want to show off when I'm playing with my brothers, this is usually my go-to. And the thing that actually triggered me to make this particular build guide is because there was a thread on Reddit the other day, and the subject of the thread was, what are some trap talents in Heroes of the Storm? And the third highest talent was Caltrops. So people were saying that Caltrops is a trap talent, you shouldn't take it, it's a terrible, terrible thing to take. And so I'll start off my build guide with saying that we are going to take Caltrops at level 1. And I want to quickly explain why this is such a good talent, and it'll come more together as we go through the rest of the build, because it's really just a building block for the playstyle that you're creating with this build. So what Caltrops is you drop 3 Caltrops when you use Vault. Each Caltrop does 60 damage and slows enemies by 25% for 1 second. Now that's okay, that's a very okay talent, but what we're focused on is the quest aspect of it. So the other side of Caltrops is that once you've spent 160 seconds at 10 stacks of hatred, your Vault cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. So you've now halved the cooldown of Vault. And that's going to be really important coming up here. And it's very easy to get those 160 seconds of holding 10 stacks of hatred during early game when you should be in lane soaking anyways. If you just slow play the lane, are wise with the way that you pace your shots, you can easily get that within the first 2 minutes, or I shouldn't say 2 minutes because 160 seconds is longer than 2 minutes, but you can get it very, very quickly. Before 5 minutes in the game, you should have this quest done. Now at level 4, we're going to take Puncturing Arrow. This makes it so hitting an enemy with the initial impact of Hungering Arrow increases its damage by 5 up to a maximum of 100, and after gaining the 100 bonus, you get an additional 75 bonus damage on Hungering Arrow, and it also bounces 1 additional time. So you're getting an extra 175 damage on the initial impact, as well as an additional bounce on it. So it's a massive buff to Puncturing Arrow, and again, that's not such a hard quest to complete. Now, moving on to level 7 is where the build starts to come together a little bit, and you start to see the play style that you're going to be using with this build. And that's when we take Repeating Arrow. That makes it so that the cooldown for Hungering Arrow is reset when Vault is used. Now, the cooldown for Hungering Arrow is 10 seconds, and the initial cooldown for Vault is 10 seconds. So when you finish your Caltrops quest and you reduce the cooldown to 5 seconds, and you take Repeating Arrow, you're effectively also reducing the cooldown of Hungering Arrow to 5 seconds. Now, your initial combo with this build already is going to be Hungering Arrow, Vault, Hungering Arrow, and then you can use your Scatter Shot. And the burst off that is huge, and it's also going to be ready again in 5 seconds for an additional Vault Hungering Arrow. So you're going to be using your Vaults very offensively with this build. And because this is going to be cooldown dependent, this build really lends itself to our level 10 talent that's going to be Strafe. This is another kind of off-meta pick, but what Strafe does is it rapidly attacks enemies within 10 range for 60 damage per hit, prioritizing heroes over minions. And you're able to move and use Vault while strafing, and it lasts 4 seconds. So the fact that it lasts 4 seconds really lends itself perfectly to this build, because it means that you can Hungering Arrow, Vault, Hungering Arrow, Scatter Shot, Strafe, and then as soon as Strafe is finished, you're going to be ready for another Vault Hungering Arrow. So it really works perfectly, and it means that you're going to be highly effective for the first 8 seconds of a fight. You're going to be putting out consistent, massive burst. Now at level 13, we're going to take Siphoning Arrow, and this is the talent that makes it so that Hungering Arrow heals you. It heals Valla for the 75% of the damage dealt to heroes by Hungering Arrow. Now keep in mind that you're going to be using twice as many Hungering Arrows, and they're going to be empowered for additional 175 damage on the first impact, plus an additional impact on the following ones. So the amount of self-healing that you do on the burst that you put out is crazy at this point already. Now at level 16, we're going to take Frost Shot. It doesn't really stack crazy well with the build, but it is in line with that kind of like going in, dumping your cooldowns quickly for extremely high output type of build that we're doing right now. And what that does is it increases the range of multi-shot by 20%, and also slows enemies by 25% for 1.5 seconds. So a little bit of area control for your team, a little bit more versatility on your multi-shot. So it does fit very, very well with this build, even though it doesn't directly stack in the way that the other ones do. But multi-shot is going to be a core part of your burst. Now at level 20, we're going to take Death Siphon. And that's going to increase the damage of Strafe, and it's going to add a self-healing component to it. So specifically what it does is it makes it so Strafe also fires penetrating bolts in a line for 34 damage every 0.25 seconds. And then 25% of the damage dealt with Strafe is returned as health. So now I would just want to quickly go over what kind of output you're doing with Caltrops at the core of this build. So you're going to go in, you're going to use Hungering Arrow on a hero. It's going to plant them for an additional 175 health. You're going to immediately Volt, and then you're going to immediately Hungering Arrow again for that. Again, an empowered Hungering Arrow. Then you hit them with the empowered multi-shot, and then you're going to go straight into Strafe to fill that negative time with even more output. As soon as that's done, you've got another Volt Hungering Arrow. And the amount of self-healing and sustain that you've gone for yourself in doing that, because keep in mind, you're healing for 25% of the damage you do with health, or with Volt, sorry, and 75% of the damage that you've done with Hungering Arrow. So over that 8 seconds, you've put out 3 Hungering Arrows, each one hitting for 175 damage plus the additional bounces. So the amount of self-healing you're doing is ludicrous, which really allows you to be very aggressive with your Volts and with your Strafe. And I'm going to throw up some gameplay in the background of this that kind of demonstrates, and this is all from one single game. The gameplay that I'm going to be using. Just one game where I said, okay, I'm going to do this build, and I'm going to kind of showcase what it's capable of. So it really is an extremely powerful and consistently powerful build. I will say there is one major drawback to this build, and that's that it is very mana hungry. So when you're Volting and using Hungering Arrow on half cooldowns all the time, and just constantly dumping out abilities, it's not really something that Valla's mana pool can handle, so it's kind of a one team fight and done deal. By the time you've used your full cycle twice, you're probably going to be low on mana. In this particular game, at the very start, I told our Malfurion that I'm going to be doing a very mana hungry build, so his Innervates on me will be very valuable, and he was awesome. He kept my mana replenished the entire game, and it allowed me to have a much bigger impact than usual, because typically with this build, if you've just successfully finished a team fight, you kind of need to hit the well or go back, because it's the one trade-off. It's really the only thing that makes this build even remotely balanced is that it's mana hungry, because otherwise you're just going off 24/7, and the game can't have that. So I'll throw up the gameplay in the background, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope that I've created a compelling argument for Caltrops, which is not a trap talent. And if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate all of that. Otherwise, have a great week, guys. Thanks for watching.